Today we have with us one of the pioneers of Indian New Wave cinema. He started his movie journey with Swayamvaram, and his latest film, Pinayam, was released in 2016. In between for his films, he has won the National Film Award 16 times. He has also won the Kerala State Film Award 17 times. He has been awarded the state honors of Padma Shri and Padma Vibhushan. He has also been awarded the Dadasaheb Phalke Award for his valuable contributions to Indian cinema. I can go on. Perhaps this entire discussion would not be enough to mention all the laurels he has received nationally and internationally. Today, we have with us Mr. Adur Gopalakrishnan. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an absolute honor.
Welcome.
Arup, why don't we start?
Sure, Shubhadeep. Thank you so much, Adur sir, for giving this opportunity to interact with us. Sir, as Shubhadeep mentioned, you are one of the pioneers of New Wave in Indian cinema. You have represented the country numerous times internationally. So today, if you look at Indian cinema, where do you find us in the context of world cinema? Or how much is Indian cinema different than when you started with your journey in Swayamvaram?
Well, it has changed a lot. First of all, the very technology of filmmaking has changed. Now, everything that we work with in terms of technology has become obsolete. Now the digital technology has taken over, and suddenly all the technicalities of filmmaking is gone to dogs. Now everything is accessible to everybody. So that's a big change that has happened in filmmaking. So the digital cinema has changed everything. Not only in terms of approach to making films, but also to the ways of watching films. Approach has changed because now everybody thinks it is very easy to make films. You have the tool, and everybody has some story to say, but anybody can make films. So it has become, they think it's very easy to make films. So I keep telling them, whoever I meet, look, it's very easy to make films, but it's very difficult to make people see it. So why should anybody watch your films? This is a question. So that is where the cinema proper comes in. It is not only just catching visuals and sound easily, very even lazily, but it is about creation of cinema as a form of art. It's a very high art. To be working in cinema, to be creating cinema, you have to be a real artist. You have to devote your entire life to watching films, learning about them, relearning about them, unlearning them, unlearning your notions about cinema. And then you have to grow up, keep growing, in fact, with what is coming, because it is ever changing. It has been ever changing. Now there's in the last 20 years, there has been a whole thing has been turned topsy-turvy, in fact, in terms of approach to making films. So on one side, you think it's very easy. On the other side, those who take it seriously, it's a lifetime commitment, making films.
And what about Malayalam cinema, sir? We always have heard, we actually believe that the Kerala film industry produces the best films, be mainstream, be parallel. The revolution was started by you. So do you think it's still on that track where you started it with?
Well, it's actually, for people like me, it has always been a struggle. In this sense, the so-called film industry is not tuned to making what's of art in cinema. What they want is to make money. Bombay may be engaged in making big money, but then even in West Bengal, even in Dhaka, elsewhere, people want basically to make money, quick money. That is why they just go to make films. But that's a small strain of a trend who devote themselves to making films as a form of art. So that is very very rare. At one time, when I just came out of the Film Institute in way back in 1965, I had such admiration for Bengali cinema. And when I went to Calcutta, my friends, when I persuaded them to take me to any cinema that is playing there, So they advised me against it. They told me, no, you are mistaken. A lot of bad films are being made here in Bengali. Don't be mad about it. And I said, no, I must see every film. So I went and I got my lesson right. Well, they were right, because there are very few people working in the cinema who see themselves as artists, who consider themselves seriously as in the pursuit of cinema. So we had for a long time, because of Vanasan, we all thought that Bengali cinema is far ahead of all of us. It was in fact. There were very few worthwhile films being made in Tamil or Malayalam or Kannada. So this scene changed in the post cinema movement period. That is in the 70s onwards.
Yeah.
Things started changing. Of course, I did my bit with my first film in 1972 with Swayamvaram. But there were not many people following that. In fact, there were some attempts, in fact, and there were a couple of filmmakers like Aravindan, John Abraham, others were there. But they were not as popular as one would want to be,
Yeah.
So that did not happen. Those were just triggers, in the ocean of commercialism. So this we don't. I cannot call it a parallel, because there is nothing parallel. These are all opposites, They come, touch and go. They don't affect the industry anyway. So this has been going on. Fortunately for me, my first film worked at the box office as well, because it got a national award. That was something very, very, very important. So it made big news, made big news in the local media. So people wanted, people being aware of what is happening around. They have to read it in the newspapers. Then only they will reckon with it. So they wanted to see the film. They wanted to see why this film has been given an award. But over a period of time, national awards became synonymous with something boring too much. So this is what happened over a long period of time. National award did not bring any audience to the cinemas, whereas the purpose was at the highest level. The purpose of awards, giving awards, was to invite the attention of the audiences at large to specific better kinds of cinema that they should not miss. So this was lost during the following course. It was lost. The idea was lost. So this is what happened. But then, they were mostly churning out the very typical poor imitations of the Bollywood, so-called Bollywood. So because they did not have that kind of money or that kind of stardust to follow, so they were making that kind of films all the same. But in Kerala, one difference was, at one time, particularly in the 60s and 70s, they based their films, not many people, even commercial films, were based on good literary works. The packets were associated with that. That made some little qualitative change. Even when they were very badly made, it was put through the straight jacket of the commercial cinema. Still, all the same, something remained worthwhile in those films. So that's why people started taking out of Malayalam cinema. But the one other thing that has happened in the recent past, very recent past, after the digital medium became popular, not many people who had no chance to go to film schools, they started training themselves. So there are self-trained people like Sanal Kumar,
Yep.
and a couple of others. they have been making very interesting films, worthwhile films. So I've been a supporter of all these, anything that is different from the run of the mill. They need not be great works of art, but it's worthwhile to support it. That's my attitude.
True.
It's very, very important. So there have been at least half a dozen of them now. Some of them very good, some of them good, some of them okay. But all the same, they are all on the offbeat. So this is very welcome, I think. This has been happening. This is something good about that we can talk about Malayalam cinema today.
Right.
And at least out of the 6, at least three of them are from the Film Institute in Satyagraha Institute in Calcutta. They are trained there.
Right.
So they trained and also the self-trained. They are all doing making very sincere, worthwhile efforts to make better films. So this is something which gives hope.
Right. Any one filmmaker, if you would like to mention in Indian cinema overall, who has impressed you, or any one film that you really liked in the recent past?
No, Girish Kasarole, without a question, is the most important filmmaker in front of me. And there have been a couple of good films being made in Bombay also. They are not part of the Bollywood. They are Hindi films, very well made. It's like Court and those films.
Court.
Yes. There have been very interesting films made in Hindi language also. They are not part of the Bollywood. In Marathi cinema, there have been very interesting films being made. So now it is a bit spread, in fact, around the country, the kind of filmmaking, which is most welcome, because but governmental policies for a long time have been centered around Bollywood. When you say cinema, they think only about Bollywood. For them, that is cinema. The stars of Bollywood, all the other trappings associated with Bollywood. That is what they take into account. Unfortunately, because at that level of decision making, policy making, people are not really cine literate. This is what happens. Happily, there were occasions when there were some Bengalis who were either joint secretaries or secretaries of the INB ministry. They have very surprisingly shown great interest in better kind of cinema. They were great exceptions. The last one was Jawahar Sarkar. The last one of the road was Jawahar Sarkar. And through them we have been trying, a couple of us, Vish and myself, we have been trying to make Doordarshan screen these films on a daily basis. Once in a week. But at the second hierarchy level, they are not interested. They were only rubbish to be shown. They were feeling very uneasy about showing a better kind of cinema in their channel. That is supposed to be a public channel. It continues. It goes from bad to worse. So that's it. So there is a systematic propagation and promotion of bad cinema. That's happening, even at the expense of the public. What do you call public television? They are indulging in that.
Anyone from outside India, sir? Any filmmaker who has impressed you a lot, who you would like to follow, be today or be in your times?
Believe me, I don't want to follow anyone else. I follow myself, my convictions, my understanding of life, my understanding of the media. Because when you are interpreting reality on your own, then you become an artist. Otherwise, you just imitate. People will ask you a question: who has influenced you most? My influences have been many. There have been great filmmakers I have watched. Practically all of them I have watched. Not only while I was training in the institute, even after that, I watched this, even today I keep watching films in the festivals, either in the capacity of a jury member or just as a pure viewer. I am interested because this is my profession, my holy profession. So I am very much interested in it. So everyone, I take it that I am influenced by everybody whom I watch. When it's a bad film, I tell myself, my God, I'm happy I don't take this film. When I, when I see a remarkable film, I say, yes, this is a great experience. I take it home. Uh, that becomes a part of my psyche, my system. So that is the way I look at it. I don't follow anything to it because you have to develop your own way of communicating with the people. Like the writers, the writers don't use the same idioms. Writers don't use the same way of telling the stories. So, as a filmmaker is also an artist.
That is true.
Sometimes even more complex an artist than writer. Writer is only paper and pen before him, and we have hundreds of people around you. We create things with the crowd around. Technicians, artists, all these paraphernalia around. You are creating in the midst of all that. That's a much superior level of creation.
Right. Right.
Yes.
And that is so much evident from your films, so unique from anyone else.
Each one of us is different than the other. We all look the same. We all have the same what do you call hands and eyes and face, legs and all that. But then we are all different people. We are all different people, and we all have different stories to tell.
Yes.
And we have all got different ways of expressing it. That we have to discover. The language with which we can communicate with the audience. That's very important. It cannot be a soliloquy. It has to be a dialogue. In terms of at least giving and taking. That kind of give and take should be there in art appreciation. That has to be followed.
Of course.
So I should not in the very stupid attitude of being elite. I say that people don't understand me. I don't believe in that. People should understand. On my own time, that's the difference. They should follow me. They should appreciate me on my own terms, not their terms. That's the difference. How will you do that? That's a very, very, very difficult tightrope walking. You have to be communicating at the same time. You have to be on your own and very individualistic in terms of approach. So this is very, very difficult. At the same time, it is worth trying. People have done it before for all of us. They keep doing it. In future also, I think it will happen. So each one has a different. Each one is having the right to be different from each other. Others. At the same time, we are part of the whole.
Okay, so now that one question we have been so eager to ask you. You have been a student of Hrithik Ghatak at FTII. We also know that you had a special bond with Satyajit Ray and Mrinal Sen. So these three are kind of be Bengali cinema, or for that matter, Indian cinema, the three stalwarts. What is your experience with them, sir?
I've been very lucky because I happened to be a student of Hrithik Ghatak. When I was in the second year of the institute in 1963, Ghatak joined the institute as professor of direction and vice principal. So we had a lot of opportunities to listen to him. He would show his films. Mainly I learned from watching his films and then he's talking about why he did that, why he did not do something else, how this was conceived, how it is executed, etc. So that was a great lesson for me. So I've learned everything directly from him, from Ghatak. Ghatak has been a great influence, you can say, as a student.
Yeah.
As a student, I consider myself very lucky to be watching his films and listening to him. And he was a very learned person. People have this very wrong notion that he was drunk all the time. It's not true. It's not true. At least at those period, in that time, he never came to the classroom drunk.
Hmm.
And I've never seen him drunk during the office hours. He made one drink in the post office hours. That's nobody's bother, Nobody should worry about it. I don't worry about it. I never used to watch. I mean, to be moving closely with any teachers, including Kanak. I was never a close. I could not call myself a close associate. Although I was a good student of his, But with Satyajit Ray, he was a great master. When Professor Satish Bahadur joined the institute as the professor of film appreciation, he made Pathapanji a text. And I remember I must have seen it at least 25 times, 30 times, with sound, without sound, like that. So he used to analyze the film, in complete details, in minute details. So Ray never visited us. During my time in the institute, he never visited us. In fact, he did not take institute very seriously, at least in the beginning, because for his generation of filmmakers, there was nothing called film training. Everything is self-taught. So he did not imagine that cinema could be taught in the class, like many others, many other intellectuals. But slowly, he recognized the importance. Slowly, he approved of the film institute, etc. This happened much later. And Manalda also, during my period at the institute as a student, he never visited institute because it was his struggling period, his early 60s. So it was too early for him to come and teach at the institute. So Manalda came much later. Manalda was also chairing a little later. So Ray for me was a guru. I treated him like a guru, although he never taught me directly. But I learned a lot from his works, his close examination of life. This has been a great lesson for me. And Manalda was like my elder brother. So affectionate, and he helped both of them, both Ray and Manalda. I've been very lucky in that sense. I've been close to all the three of them, and I always learned to respect them, and I always acknowledge their contribution in my making.
Do you think that's really important in this age of internet access everywhere? Is censorship having any meaning at all, or we still need that? You think that a governance is needed?
We don't need it. As filmmakers don't need it. Particularly the people who treat cinema as a serious medium, they don't need censorship. They don't consider that somebody else can decide on what should be shown and not shown. In fact, all that is taken care of by the Constitution itself. The freedom of speech is not covered under that. If somebody transgresses that, then they can be taken to, they can be booked and taken to the court. They can be tried, punished, etc. But then censorship is absolutely obsolete. It looks like a foreign country, colonialist is ruling us. Decides what is good for them and what is not good for us. And then today, with the internet and all the access that we have with so many things, it is absolutely stupid for people now. But then they want to retain it because the government gets real free time and space, in the films. Nowhere else they do get that. They cannot have free advertisement in the papers. They cannot have free advertisement in radio. But then they have free advertising time and space in cinema. All kinds of advertisement, they are doing it free and made compulsory, because to get a censor certificate, you have to necessarily show this. A terrible ad for advertising against smoking.
Beginning of the film.
Beginning, not only now they have to show it beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
So that means the viewer, is completely, it is like total alienation from what he is watching.
True.
total alienation. Not only that, when this advertisement comes, it is just very scary. Right, the government has got to scare people like that. Cancer is bad enough. Why do you scare people who are innocent people who can be affected? We can all contract cancer.
Yes. Yes.
3 members of my family died of cancer, including my mother, my wife, my sister-in-law. They all died of cancer. But that does it mean that you should show this? And then for everything there is an advisory given by the government in terms of advertisement. And when there is a liquor bottle shown, then you have to show that it should not be. Nobody should take things. And like that, all the advice freely given, and using the censor certificate as a pretext for that. This is what is happening. So to keep the censoring going is in the interest of the government, not in the interest of the filmmaker. But then at one time, Manavda, Sham, myself, we were all members of a committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Shivram Karan. We were to study this film situation in the country. It was called a film study group and report which I means of improving things. So at one time, the 3 of us go together, Manavda, Sham, and myself. We said we will now recommend abolition of censoring. So we were practically at the time of writing the report, we said no, let us add this. Then there were 2 members. They said, censor, please, they pleaded, please don't do this, because this censorship gives them protection from litigation and many things. So otherwise, every time they will go to the court and the film may be only worthy of release, and they will advertise that somebody goes to court and stops it, etc. So they can show the censor certificate. So we thought maybe that it can damage the industry if we do that. We insist on it. So it was a mistake on our part to have agreed to them. We should have insisted. No. You fight your cases in the court. We should have insisted. But we really felt pity for them because they were pleading like that. Veterans of the industry, And we were not veterans. We were just outsiders, in fact. So we said, okay, we yielded. Willingly we yielded, and I think in retrospect, I feel it was a wrong thing on our part to have agreed. We should have at least written a dissent, which we did not do, in the interest of amity. Yes.
Right.
No, it's a big mistake to continue censoring, and under that pretext, they are showing all these nonsense. We have to put a stop to it. The television has a much bigger reach, and they don't censor television.
Of course, yes.
Yes, they show all kinds of things on television. All objectionable things they show. Things that should not be shown to children, they are showing without any. All these are us because television suits them better. For the politician, it suits them. That is his medium.
So moving on with this, you have also talked about in the past the lack of taste in the Indian audience, and which could be true for most actually. So, sir, how do we improve the taste of the Indian audience? How do we expose them to better cinema? How do we actually change the landscape so that people are shown more better cinema overall?
No, actually, Film Society movement was one small initiative. With the flooding of the television channels and all kinds of programs being shown on these channels, so you don't get an audience even for the Film Society screens.
Right.
It is there, still there for Namka Vasta. It is there, but then it is ineffective in the sense. Actually, there has to be a very. In fact, it was not there before. When the at Nehru's time, there was a party committee, SK party committee appointed to suggest ways and means of improving Indian cinema vis-a-vis the world cinema, which we cannot compare ourselves with. So it was Nehru's dream to have the whole thing revamped and then geared to making better films in the audiences. And the such institutions were started. The Film Finance Corporation, the National Film Archive, Film Institute, International Film Festival, all these were started. And with great promotion given to the cities and all that. But there was a result, in fact. The new Indian cinema was the result of all that. But immediately it was all wiped out in the sense the flooding of the other kind of cinema, which reaches everybody and and gives them very, very wrong ideas about what is real cinema. Flashing what is real with what is totally fake. That's what's happening. So in that when the floodgates are opened and all this kind of thing is given to the audiences, whether free or just a ticket, that becomes very formidable to overcome. That's the situation. So all the same, if there is a definite plan, this education should start at the school level. In fact, they should be shown the best of the best of, in fact, even films from abroad, and they should learn the language of cinema like any other, even your own mother tongue that you learn, even literature you study. In the same way, you should also study. So that can be one effort. And another thing is, look at the national awards, for instance. These days, the party cadres at the infantry level are put on these days, and they come out with decisions which are absolutely pedestrian. So we are talking about Orbit films being made, and then they don't see, you don't find any mention of those films anywhere. Even for a selection of Indian panorama, I've seen it and experienced it 2-3 years back, more than 3 years back. Somebody who is completely, an innocent person about cinema, but in particular, of better kind of cinema, as the chair of the selection committee for choosing films for Indian panorama. So, the kind of Indian panorama films he selected, there was a joke that all their rejections should be put in a festival. All the rejections, because that will show their bad taste, Mm-hmm. All the rejections are worthwhile. All the bad films they have selected for the Indian panorama. So that is, Indian panorama is meant to be a surveyor for other festivals outside the country. And invariably those films will be rejected by the other festivals if you send them for selection.
Yes.
So there has been no ameliorating of measures, but then there have been always deterring measures happening. With idiots, stupid people put in charge of these things.
Not very different from other things as well. Like whether if you talk about education or other things, I do not think the situation is quite similar. Yes,
it is all pervasive. The attitude and things like that. Cinema alone cannot accept. You cannot see it removed from the rest of the scenario. It's part of that. Unfortunately, we have to suffer it. So when you make a film, your audiences, you are very lucky if your audiences like it. And it's a very, very sad thing that you have to go abroad to have your film watched properly. Right. By people who really matter, by people who really understand your work. For the Indian film, it is even worse because the advent of cinema, the way they watch films, it's all very Eurocentric, Right. Their approach to cinema is like that. Mm-hmm. They make concession for now China and Japan, but not others. So they don't understand life. Our life is very different in India. It is not even like the Far East. It is not even like even Middle East. So we are very different, and we have such our moorings, cultural moorings are so deep. Those people don't understand. It has to be. These are problems even for genuinely good films. This happens.
Sir, we wanted to talk about Katha Purushan. We have heard that it is semi-autobiographical. So how much of the film is imagination and how much of it is close to your real life?
Actually, Katha Purushan is a concern. It's a telescoping of my period of life. Life I have seen from my childhood to the same to the age of maybe 40, 45. Almost a half a century of life in Kerala. Social change, social upheavals, so big changes in social life. All these are reflected in the film. It is all telescoped in that film. And it starts with a very, very genuinely my own life. In the sense, the film is shot in the house where I was born. Yes, that, and in fact, that what is happening in that house. And then my relationship, my father and mother, they were separated. All these things are there, but this is only the point where it takes off. I was not the only child of my parents. I was the sixth or seventh children born to my parents. So these are big departures. And also, I was not part of any political movement. I have been an observer only, like any artist. I was not fully involved in it. But I've been a keen observer of what has been happening. So I was in that film. I was talking only about a sensitive artist observing, living through a period of life, very interesting period of life in the country, and also in particular in Kerala. That's what Katha Purushan is about. It is his story as well as it is history.
Yeah.
Both.
History of the country as well as the history of that life together running in parallel.
And also the person. It's about a person who wants to go and make change.
Yes.
And in the process, he himself get changed.
Correct. Yes.
That's it.
There's this very interesting scene where we hear the news of Gandhi assassination coming. And there's this character who is not shown as much as influenced by Gandhi earlier, but he still breaks down. And then the boy also starts crying. We were very intrigued with that scene. Is that something also coming from a real life incident or any experience?
Yes, in fact, that's a real thing. Because I was told, I don't remember, I was told my elder brother that I was crying all that day. The whole day I was crying with the news of Gandhiji over the radio. And then it really happened. That is myself. that is personal element in it. But I had told about it. But my brother told me that nobody could console me. And that was from real life.
I mean, it was so interesting that you do not see that big incident in the history of our country happening, but you feel an impact so far.
Yes. Actually, in a remote part of the country.
Correct.
Yes. Right interior of Kerala. Right?
Yes.
No, but Gandhi was such a big influence.
Yes.
A lot of us growing up through that period. Even as a child, we knew what was happening. We knew the greatness of the man. Because his influence was fantastic. Now people try to question him, criticize him, all that. They don't understand Gandhi. They don't understand that.
Yeah. That's true.
Yes. Without any study, without any reading, it is flat out to criticize Gandhi.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted to ask you about, you have worked with Mammootty in 3 films in a row, Anantaram, Mathilukal, and Vidhe. So we all know Mammootty is a superstar in South India. In fact, we can say pan-India superstar. What was your experience working with Mammootty?
He's a very fine actor who is very sincere about his work, and he is very punctual, very disciplined, and it is a pleasure working with him. So he used to tell me, "Please make me your regular actor, like with main actor. What is his name? Ray's main actor. Most of the
Soumitra Chattopadhyay?
Yes, you make me your Soumitra." He used to tell me. I said, Soumitra, I also love him. He's a great actor. But my films are so different. So some roles may not suit you. For instance, when I made a film on a hangman, Mammootty will not be fit for that role. Hangman, he was about whom people have the general public has a notion that he is a very harsh person, very uncouth, very unkind, who's almost like a monster. That's kind of image that hangman has amongst the public. So I cast somebody who is such a nice person, such a even he looks very simple and innocent. This is a complete reversal of the notion about a hangman and a person in the real life. So Mammootty would look a very strong person in that role. If I cast him in that role, he cannot pass. So for me, my casting is half the acting. If it suits the character, then it is half the acting is done. So I go by that. And fortunately, there were 3 films coming one after the other. We suited Mammootty, and he got the National Award twice for those. Out of the 3 films, he got National Award for 2 of those films for the actor. So he's a very fine actor, very disciplined, and very rare phenomenon. And with me, he was just an actor, not a star.
There's this scene in Vidhan where he's sitting on his chair and you have the ox horns behind. It seems like it's the demon himself. So that's beautiful. But what about Mohanlal, sir? He's another, actor, a star you have in Malayalam industry. Have you ever thought about casting him?
No, see, the roles don't suit. Most of the roles that I need actor for, they don't suit somebody like Mohanlal. Mohanlal is typecast so much. He is in most of the films he is appearing as a good-hearted rowdy. Good-hearted, kind rowdy. That kind of a role. I don't have such roles. That's a problem. So that will be your own casting.
Okay.
Sir, one question I have from Anantaram. We see that there are certain symbols in the movie which appear for very small fraction of a second. When the doctor uncle enters Ajayan's room, there is Noam Chomsky's book on The Outsider. Only a glimpse is there. And then when the Mammootty is reading the paper on the backside, we see something about BSF. Also, when the professor is teaching, he says, "Be in the present. Do not think about the past or the future." Do you give these subtle hints to the audience? Is it your conscious way of keeping the audience into the narrative or finding some clues? Is it some way like that?
Yes, they have to keep correcting. It's very important because what I have at my disposal is 2 hours of time, and I have to make my audience feel and experience a lifetime experience. I like him watching, like him taking in. This I have to pack as much information as possible into every bit of it, in terms of objects I show. I don't show any symbols, but in terms of objects I use, in terms of my cutting also, there are several means I use. So I want them to be very attentive. If they are not attentive, they will miss something important. So see, the regular audiences would only follow what is spoken, what is talked, what is spoken by a character. They don't watch anything else. It's not in their habit. Because regular commercial film does not teach you to watch anything. They are brought up on only hearing, listening to speeches, one after the other. When characters will be lined up, in old days they will be lined up on the stage and shot. Each one will wait for his time, order. Uh, this used to be the practice in the old days. It has changed now. Now the camera doesn't line up people like that. But all the same, talking. That has been the kind of layering where people have got. So they hardly watch this.
With the advent of web and OTT platforms, now non-Hindi cinema is getting a deserved pan-India audience across the country. People from other parts of the country are watching cinema from the south much more than ever before, especially Malayalam, Tamil cinema. So, do you think this can have a big impact on regional cinema and overall quality of cinema in the country? Or is it only impacting the cinema experience adversely in pulling the audience out of the theater in India?
No, this is you can treat it as one of the ways of releasing the film, but it should not become the only way of releasing a film to the audiences.
Mhm.
It can be one of the new openings. Nothing wrong with that. So not many people may not find a cinema release very easy. So the OTT thing can help. Sometimes can some films, not all. It depends, because we cannot say that, we cannot assume that this is the only way of reaching an audience. But to take the audiences to the to the films made in the different parts of the country, Doordarshan has been at different times. They have been showing these films, but then they don't believe in showing. As I said in the beginning, they don't believe in it anymore. They are so deeply entranced in the rubbish. They don't want to show anything else. So that is the situation with our national television. So the OTT is probably an answer. Yes, if it pays financially, then it is okay. We don't know how much money is earned through OTT release. We have no idea. We don't know it. We don't have the statistics. So it may be a desperate way of releasing. When you find that there is no other outlet, you go to do this. And how would it affect their financial situation? How much will it affect it? Because you have to find more people putting in money.
But in a way, then OTT has done good for the regional cinema, because I mean there are thousands of people like us who are willing to invest and watch films from the south, and with OTT, if the demands increase, it will improve the financial condition of regional cinema also beyond the realms of theaters.
That's why I say I can be treated as a new outlet for these films, not the only outlet.
Yeah,
Because
obviously.
it cannot replace cinemas.
Cinema, right?
There's nothing like that experience of watching a film in a hall.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the whole technology has been developed for that kind of a whole audience watching the film. That's a completely different experience. It's not a very, very subjective experience of somebody watching it on their own. These two different things. So it is fine as long as these are new avenues open. It's fine. It should be, as you said, if they come with the subtitles and all that, then people can easily follow. They can follow this.
Yep,
Today, the new technology subtitling is not a big problem. It is very simple. We can see with or without subtitles.
Yep.
All these options are open now.
Right.
Right.
And on that note, talking about the future, like in 2016, you gave us a Pinium. Now, any new feature film you are considering to work on next?
See, I start working on a film only when I feel so pressured from inside that I
Okay.
must do this. That pressure doesn't come yet. It hasn't come yet. I don't artificially push it. It has to come on its own.
Convenient.
I have to have something important to say. Then only I make the film. I don't want to tax my audiences with silly things.
Thank you, sir. Truly, sir, we would like to thank you for this time. You have taken out 1 hour of your schedule and interacted with us. This is the memory which we will take to our deathbeds, actually, that we actually were able to interact with you. This is something beyond imaginable. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Well, that was veteran director Adur Gopalakrishnan for you. Hope you liked the video. We enjoyed a lot. For more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for all our video notification. Thanks for watching.